Welcome to episode 46 of the What If South is Up podcast, where we explore fantasy worlds with our what if lens, delving into, learning more about, and maybe even reimagining our worlds. We blend a bit of wisdom and a dash of whimsy to spark our creativity and yours. Get ready to reimagine and dig deeper as we journey from what if to what's possible. In other words, how to wing it like an author. My name is Christina X. Tina LaFave, and I'm in the middle of building my first world, a magical parallel Earth where colonization never happened in America, and working on my first novel with a working title, Cogs and Claws.
I am Derek Hall, creator of the Crimson Prophecy series and the Horizon Gamelit novella 10 Levels Down.
And I'm Meg, MJ Lindsay, author of novellas and shorts, and I'm about to release my debut novel, which is book one of the Tapestry saga, A Distortion of Fate. It's a dark political sci-fantasy.
And today we have someone that's been on the show before, welcome back, Cindy. Tell our listeners a bit about yourself and your big news.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me again. I'm Cindy Elsell, and I just released my debut novel, Remnants of the Scarlet Flame, this month. It's the first in the last Dragion saga, which is an epic fantasy series packed with spies, dungeon breaks, sorcerers, elemental magic, and if you look closely, you might find some dragons too.
Wow.
And it's so good.
It really is. It's fantastic. So, Cindy, are you a pantser / gardener or more of a plotter?
So I'm definitely more of a gardener by nature, but as my series has gone on, since they all take place in the same world, I've found myself doing a lot more plotting just to make sure the timelines make sense.
That makes sense.
I find myself in the same boat and I hate it.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's awful.
Well, tell us a little bit about your writing process, Cindy. Do you write at night, or do you go to a coffee shop or sneak in a word here and there with your thumbs?
Oh, I write anywhere and everywhere that I have a few spare minutes. I still have one kiddo at home and one in full-time school, so it's a balancing act of writing and family time.
Oh, such a balancing act. Even if you don't have kids at home, it just really is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Definitely.
Cindy, what part of world building do you like best?
I think probably map making and creating fictional races. And also being able to look back and see just how much the world has grown over time.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't really tell how we got to where we are. It's like, wait a moment. Where did all of this come from?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you can't remember where one part began because it started off as just a tiny little seed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It
but
is
then
Sure.
But then there are those moments where you have a scene and it eats at you for months and months at a time until you finally get it out on paper and it's like, yes, that's what
Yes.
I've been waiting for.
The skydiving fight scene in my book, too. That one scratched at me forever until I finally wrote it down.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it happens. And it's really fun to see stuff like that actually come to life. But before we dive into today's adventure and see which what if question Chance brings up, Meg, what are you drinking today?
All right, what do I got? I am drinking a Hopwork Orange, an orange infused IPA, and it's actually very, very good. That's from
Sounds
Blue
good.
Mountain Brewery.
Sounds really good.
Sounds good.
Cindy?
So I have a new drink, actually. It's called the Beast Killer Sunrise. Yes, it's in their new variety pack 2.
Oh,
It's
I actually
delicious.
really like those. Those are pretty good. I haven't had the Sunrise, but in general, the Beast drinks are pretty good.
They're fabulous.
What are you drinking, Derek?
I've been down with the plague this week, and I'm still recovering, so I have Gatorade, or as my young son likes to call it, Haterade, which may or may not be my fault. Xtina, what do you have?
I have a creamsicle martini. It's not what I wanted, but I forgot to go to the store on my way home today, and because I was trying to get the candy corn ciders. But
Oh, yeah.
I forgot, so
It sounds fancy, though.
I know, right? It's just vodka, seltzer, and a martini glass.
You're just clinging on to summer with everything you can. That's what it sounds
I
like.
still have a cooler of beer on ice out in the front yard, so it is what it is. And we had a frost yesterday, so
Oh, it's too
Wow.
early for that.
Yeah, no
yeah,
kidding.
Yuck.
yeah, yeah. I walked out and there was ice on the puddles in the driveway, and I'm just like, oh, it got cold. Cool.
Yeah, it was 96 here yesterday, so,
You can keep that.
right?
It's like 68 degrees and sunny here today. It was awesome. Just working outside all day, enjoying the breeze.
Yeah,
It was
fall's
great.
definitely come for us. We live in the woods, and so leaves are a real thing.
Yeah, things are turning up here. We already have the foliage turning, and it was 60 degrees today. So
We'll start having the few trees up here that turn. They'll start turning here in probably a week or so if it stays cold at night. In which case, I need to dust off the camera and get out because it's always absolutely gorgeous this time of year.
I love your photos.
Thank you.
They're beautiful.
I love taking them. I love where I live. It's gorgeous and it's always different.
All right. Well, y'all, it's time to share our new news in our writing worlds. So that would be any craft tips or tricks, or maybe a writing or a story breakthrough. Xtina, tell us a little bit about the new news in your writing world.
I use tarot.
Oh, so cool. I took a course on that once. How was it?
Well, I've been doing tarot, quote unquote, professionally for like for 10 years now. Been reading it for 20 years, but I was using it. I don't know. I was curious what would happen if I used it for my third act, and I was pretty surprised. Yeah, it was pretty fascinating what came out of it. So, um, I don't know. It really helped me iron some things out in my third act. So I'm pretty happy with that. What about you,
That's
Derek?
awesome.
I am actively attempting to learn how much is too much when dealing with a young protagonist.
Yes, you are.
Um, yeah, you know, don't you? Um, no spoilers, but yes, it's interesting trying to write things when your main character is young and like knowing it's not a children's book, but your main character is a child, and how far can you go and how far can you not, and where does it get gross and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's been a fun song and dance lately.
Hmm. That's a hard line to draw.
It is, you know.
Sure is.
Meg, what have you been working on?
Well, I I am not going to say yes, this is where I am, but I'm flexing my fingers. I'm getting ready to jump back into my book 2 edits, which I'm really excited about it because it's been about a year long hiatus. So I was hard at book 2 during NaNoWriMo, um, which we won't go into a deep discussion on that. Um,
Thank
last
you.
year. And since then, I have been working on revamping book 1, getting it to betas, re-editing it, submitting it,
Mm-hmm.
marketing it, and then I wrote a short story. So it's been on hold for a really long time, and I'm so excited to jump back in and hopefully finish it by the end of this year, so I can get it out to betas again.
So do
Fun
you
stuff.
think the 1 year hiatus was perfect length? Too long? Not long enough?
No, so with me, a lot of people say they have to like really go hard at something until it's finished. I mean, if you look at the Tapestry series, I wrote books 1 and 2 in 2017. I wrote, and then I didn't touch them for 3 years. And
Wow.
then jumped back in and rewrote 1, and then I saw what I had for my original book 2 and scrapped a 95,000 word document, and I'm writing it from scratch, and it's hand over fist way better this time.
Wow.
Um, so it's like a hiatus doesn't really hurt me. I also have stories in my head where I'll think on them for a long time, and then I won't put the pen to paper until like it's just right. Or maybe I put the pen to paper, but somebody was saying, "Oh, Derek, you were talking about your scene of the fight falling through the sky, and you were just itching to write that. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
itching to write a scene, I write it. It doesn't matter if it's for book 4 and I haven't even gone past my outline yet, or if it's for a random novella that I've thought about. If I have a scene in my head, I get it down
Mm-hmm.
when I'm feeling the emotion strong. Because the worst thing that happens is I scrap it.
Right.
And the best thing that happens is I get it in the moment when I'm really feeling it, and it's beautiful and it fits in somewhere, somehow.
I do that for dialogue. So
Yeah.
if
Cool.
I'm right, walking around or driving or something, and suddenly some dialogue, I can hear my characters talking to each other. I'll jot that down real quick. I don't know where they are or what they're doing, but the dialogue is what resonates in my head that I have to get it jotted
Mm-hmm.
down.
Yeah, I've definitely done that with dialogue before, but for the full scenes, I feel like I almost have to bribe myself with them. So I don't let myself write them until it's time for them. Because if I write it, then I skip this huge chunk of time between scenes, and then I don't want to write that big chunk of time, and it ends up just
Yes.
big mess. So
I am exactly the same way. Like I
I
will let it burn a hole in my mind while I write up to it.
exactly, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. I gotta get it out.
I just don't have a good memory. I'll forget it. I'll get
Yeah, I see that
Like
too. Or it just doesn't feel the same way, or like I don't know.
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Cindy, what's new in your writing world?
Well, I've been getting my second book ready for the line editor, which has largely been about cutting word count because this beast is like my second draft stopped at 224,000 words and I'm down to 207.
It's
Um,
almost the size of our script.
The
yeah,
technical term is a
it's
Chihuahua killer.
it's totally a Chihuahua killer. It really is. So I've found that I can drop a ton of words just by slimming down on descriptions, and I know like the giggles galore. Um, so simplifying, simple. Yep, there they are. I knew they were coming. I knew they were coming.
I had to
Um,
think on it for a second, and then I realized I'm the giggles galore.
So, yeah, slimming down descriptions, simplifying sentences, getting rid of those emotional tells, like especially when you've already shown the emotion, and then you say with anticipation or in with concern, and I'm just going through and I'm chopping all that nonsense out, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
making sure each and every scene is pulling its weight.
Yeah, you don't need stage direction in a novel, which is how I heard someone put it one time, and that actually made a lot of sense to me as far as like redundantly telling an emotion that's already been shown.
Yep, exactly.
Hmm, very interesting. I'm going to be curious to see how slim you make it. It'll be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much slimmer I can really make it. Like my editor and I were having the conversation. She's just like, face the facts. It's going to be over 200K. There's no way around it at this point. But
Mm,
my alpha readers have largely agreed that it does not read like a 200K novel. So that's a good sign,
Well,
I think.
no, it snips by super quickly.
It
It's.
just
I think
means
it's
you're drawing people in.
As writers, it's crucial to keep our craft sharp by diving into stories, be it through reading, watching, or listening. So, Cindy, how have you been consuming story lately?
Oh my gosh. I have overloaded my plate this month with ARC and alpha reads. I finished an alpha from one of my critique partners, K.A. Hurt, who just finished drafting book 2 of her 5-book epic romantasy series, which is just phenomenal. She's going to rapid release this whole thing, and I'm super stoked for it. I've also read Wings of Lies by M.S. Quinn, Torn Pages by Ashley Chapman, and my favorite read of the month, A Distortion of Fate by M.J. Lindsay.
Ooh, nice plug. Good
I
job.
think I've heard of
I
her.
know her.
What about you, Derek?
Nothing new to report on the reading front, but I did watch a couple of movies while I was sickly. Most notably, the 2007 310 to Yuma with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. So if you ever wanted to see Batman and the Gladiator have a fist fight, this is your chance.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fun times.
Interesting. Meg, what about you?
Well, I'm going to admit I've dropped off my normal amount of craft intake this month. I finished one beta for a friend, and I just jumped into a second. But I'm also listening to something called Paragorn Exordium. He's gonna have a heyday if I pronounce that wrong. But that's by author Mike Malowassel. He's an indie, just like us. He's on TikTok. He wears a wizard hat. He's awesome. We were connecting and communicating, and I told him I'd give it a listen because he's had his book out for a while. It is also a Chihuahua killer. And he just got the audio recording. So, like for a lot of indies, the audio comes after the fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll have a ton of reviews on their book, but not so much on the audio. And so I'm doing that on my new commute, is listening to that, and that's been fun. It's been really good fun. Derek, it is definitely your speed, your flavor. It reminds me of listening to like something by Alaron Kong, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good fun.
I might have to check that out then.
So, quite by accident, I've uncovered an awesome series, TV show that can help anybody learn what is meant by interiority. And get this, it's Modern Family.
Yes.
So
that's
if you
really
tell
good
me
one.
more.
So if you watch the TV show, or if you've seen the commercials, whatever, they take time to talk to the camera. They're breaking the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they give their interiority. This is how they tell how they're really feeling in the moment. They're lying, or they're hurt, or they're whatever. And so if you pay attention, you can really see where you can slide interiority, where the character on the page is doing something that is one thing, but what they're actually feeling is something different.
Right.
And it really points it out really poignantly, really well. They also use it for backstory and stuff like that. But no, I found this really brilliant, and I think I gained a next level understanding of interiority.
Yeah, I actually kind of get the same vibe from like Parks and Rec and The Office with their little interview sections, because they kind of do the same thing. Yeah,
I bet they do. Yeah, I bet it's exactly the same thing. So
yeah,
I just never watched those ones.
Not that I'm a huge fan of either one of those, but it's an interesting angle to look at a story from, because it's different, and that's what made it popular back in the day. It was different. It wasn't just another sitcom. All right. Well, it is Dead Darlings time, and we each share a single sentence from our drafts. No backstory, just the words. And these lines may shine or could face the delete key, or in some cases, a haircut. But we're happy to share our wordsmithing woes and wins with fellow writers. I will go first. Horses whinnied, children yelled prepubescent battle cries, adults cursed and demanded obedience only to be ignored.
Okay.
Rings true.
Mm-hmm. It does. Anyone who's ever dealt with more than like 5 kids at once gets this.
Sometimes only 2 kids.
Yeah, sometimes just one.
Yep.
Or one and a dog. But yes. All right. Xtina, what do you have?
Something that's dead. So, let's see. Loyalty to a family, village, loyalty to a people is one of the things that makes her so special and so important.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's dead.
That's sad, though. I like that.
I can do better.
I mean, yeah, but I still like it. Just got to massage it a little bit. Cindy,
What
what do
about?
you have for us?
Oh, you're gonna go with Cindy. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
This one definitely got a haircut. For long minutes I lay there, uncertain whether the roaring in my ears was the sound of ocean surf, or the ether burgeoning from a rift in the wall, ready to devour me whole.
That's a world building wow.
Right.
Yep.
Very cool. And last but not least, Meg.
This one is alive and recently put out into the world. It is, but she could be wrong again. And in the game of treason, being wrong meant swift and unforgiving death.
And you
Oh,
are not wrong.
wow.
Yeah.
Not a lot of room for mistakes.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Very cool. I think it's very interesting to see everybody's style,
It's
like
fun.
side by side like that. It's always fun.
Actually, I agree. This is actually a very perfect representation, I would say, of our
It
Yeah.
really
of our
is.
various styles.
Yes, it definitely is. It's fun.
Well, okay. Before we get on to the point of the show and our favorite game, Cindy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the world that you will be playing in today, since a lot of our listeners are not familiar?
Absolutely. So, the last Dragon saga takes place in the world of Dessos, where sorcerers rule nations, dragons are believed extinct, and gods walk among mortals. I've got about 15,000 years of history set aside for these creatures that are called Dragion, which are a race that originally took the form of what we think of as like modern day Western style dragons. But Dragion magic is inherently chaotic and corruptible and has a tendency to rip itself apart. So the gods came to this world to sort of preserve this magic for them, and in exchange, the Dragion allowed them to make their own mortal races, populate the world, and more or less run the joint.
Haha.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, Cindy, this world, this fabulous world you're painting for us. Um, what's the one thing you like best about this world you made up?
So I think I'm most proud of just how vast the world ended up. Like it started as just this little town in an unnamed country, and it's grown to just be this historically and culturally diverse world with dozens of great stories that have yet to be told.
I love that.
Very cool. And what is the craziest, weirdest, or most interesting thing you've had to research for your world?
Okay, so I had to research the anatomy of the human eye, specifically for a character who experiences some really horrible eye related trauma. And I've now watched more videos of prosthetic eye implants and eyeball removal than any person outside of the medical field rightly should.
Cindy, I'm laughing so hard because I'm pretty sure when I read this part, I like left a note in the comments along the lines of, I'm pretty sure you are on an FBI watch list
Right.
And I absolutely
for this
am.
one. This
Yep.
is so specific and so gritty and so good.
That's
Oh,
great though. I love those like I'm pretty sure the police are going to show up sort of Google searches that writers have to do. I really do love them. Um yeah, I was researching like the crush force required to break ribs and things like that, and it it got very graphic from like a medical standpoint in my searches. And I'm just like, yep, I'm on a watch list. Cool.
yep.
So I
Yep.
understand. And it's fascinating to do it and you want to get it right, but at the same time you're like, should I be doing this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, on to the game. Each week, we roll a d20, which helps us randomly choose from our perpetual list of 20 scenarios. And then we talk about how it would affect our worlds. Derek, are you our dice roller today?
I will roll if I can keep my dice on the table. And let's see. Our roll this week is a natural 20.
No way.
Ooh,
What
applause.
if? What if there were sentient storms that held the memories of past battles, and characters could harness these storms to gain strategic insights or unleash ancient power?
Ooh. All right, who's going first?
I need to read it again. That was
I
intense.
think
Yeah, maybe read
I
that
think
again.
I've got this one. Hang on, wait. Let me pull it up really quick so I can look at it.
There
Just
we
getting
go.
some Brandon Sanderson vibes over here. His
Oh, yeah.
Stormlight Archives.
Stormlight Archive, yep.
Absolutely.
This question intentionally
Sentient
blank.
storms. I'm going to jump in by saying this wouldn't work in my world, period. I based a lot of my magic and my technology off of quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the way that I have my world, there is no going backwards. There's only seeing forwards.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have characters that have powers, right? And they have the ability to see forwards, and I think I could build that somehow into storms, because it's all energy.
Right.
It would be really fascinating where they would be kind of bombarded by a storm of, like, not necessarily memories, because that's not the right word, but like future projections.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it would be easiest for me to jump in because that's one where I could, like, even go in and say, no, I can't speculate throwing that into my world. As cool as a concept as it is, it would go against my rules.
Well, at least you have firm rules. Because I would love to say the same thing, but at the same time, I have like parallel dimensions that I'm starting to push toward, and this could definitely be a thing in one of those.
Yeah.
So that's
It's a
Any
super cool what if.
it's
I
a
like
really
the
cool
idea
what
of
if.
it going forward, of being able to harness the power of, like, seeing forwards versus backwards and using that to strategic advantage.
Like, I could see this being like the remnant of some sort of defense mechanism around a castle or something, where if someone comes in, they get attacked by this storm or cloud, and they think they're actually being attacked because they're seeing figures in the fog or whatever. And like, I could see it being super cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, but that's one of those things, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but probably not in the main story world, because magic has been dead for so long that something like this just floating around isn't necessarily going to be a thing. But that doesn't mean I couldn't use it.
What about you, Cindy? You got any thoughts on this?
So there are these people called masterminds in my world. And masterminds essentially have the power of psionics. And I shudder to think what they could do with a sentient storm that they could imperium or essentially just take control of. Like, that's horrifying to me.
So
Totally.
what catches me on this, or what I'm caught up on, is the fact that the storms are sentient. So for me, that means that they're individuals, they're sentient, they're people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Gods.
Not gods, just an entity. They're an entity, a being. Okay, so they can decide where they're going and what they're doing and if they're showing up and whatever. And then the characters could harness these storms. Harness tells me it's like they're taking control of the storms. Um, so I see this in my world would be very taboo. To control a sentient being for your own gain is akin to slavery. So in my world, this would be an extremely taboo thing to do. Um, but it would definitely, I could make it fit. Um, uh, and it would be used by somebody, that is not, that's evil, or has evil intent.
Well, just because you harness a horse doesn't mean it can't buck you off and run away.
I mean, that is a good point, but, but,
To play devil's advocate.
no, I understand, but I don't, in my world, they've actually moved past domestication of most animals for bursts of eating, and they've actually created automatons to do the work
Right.
because they don't believe in enslaving another being. So, um, but yeah, they harness their sled dogs to go where they want to.
Ooh.
You know,
I just had a really cool idea for this, and if I'm interrupting, I'm sorry.
no,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead and finish.
No, I can't now. So go ahead.
Okay. What if the sentience was because whatever wizard or magician or whatever was trying to create this storm
Oh, interesting.
overstepped some boundary and killed himself, and the sentience in the storm is what's left of that original sorcerer?
So they killed their body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like a
Like
lich.
the magic took control of them, so it's kind of like a genie or a spirit or something that's controlling the storm. Ooh, I'm getting ideas.
Genie would be interesting. I guess my brain has been thoroughly wrecked by D&D, and so my first thought was a lich's phylactery.
Mm-hmm.
That was what?
A lich's phylactery.
Mm.
I went there too.
I'm glad.
I also slightly went to the Genasi in a weird way. Because
Oh
they
yeah,
always give me genie vibes, but and
yeah.
they're
I can see that.
elemental.
Yep.
So one question I have is these sentient storms, can they only hold memories of battles? Or can they hold memories of other things too, but it's only the past battle things that people want to harness?
I feel like so my go-to with that would go to a paranormal theory called the stone tape or the water tape theory, in that intense emotion is what gets recorded. So a battle, a death, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my gut instinct. Like, it would take a lot of emotional energy to imprint itself on this thing.
But I like that idea in the fact that, the theory that water has memory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's playing on that. I like that a lot. That's interesting.
That's a very cool concept, and I want to go write things now.
Well, that's kind of the point.
I know. It's dangerous. We need
So
to quit doing this.
You can make this work in your world?
Who?
Cindy?
Oh yeah, yeah. I probably definitely could. It's I think it would probably be too much of an aside to actually work in any sort of real way, but
Mm-hmm.
at least from the mastermind standpoint, like these guys are borderline psychopaths, very well, most of them, and they get a kick out of taking control of any sort of sentient being they can, sort of bending them to their will.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole thing where it says here at the bottom to gain strategic insights or unleash ancient powers, that has somebody's name all over it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's another 200K for you, Cindy.
Oh, stop
You're
that.
welcome.
I don't need any more of that.
But
You
the
need to
reason
spin off a whole nother series just because
I
of
am
this.
working on it, sir. I am like, gosh, you don't even know. I was talking to Meg about this earlier. I've got another like 4 books at least. It's painful. It's
I've
painful to look back and see it
probably
all.
got I've probably got about half a dozen just waiting in the wings for when I finish this project. So
I'm sorry, Cindy, I'm going to play in your world for just a second, and I know very little about your world like these guys do, but talking about ghosts and spirits and sentience and stuff like that, and being,
Yeah.
poltergeists and stuff like that. What if one of your Dragion had a poltergeist that was one of these intelligence forms that kind of like followed them around and stuck to it?
I mean, that's kind of what happens actually. So the whole idea behind the Dragion, and this sort of gets explained more in book 2. So they, since their magic is basically falling apart, it's corrupting. They have devised this system where they will pair with other dragons. They'll form a dragon bond, and then they'll also pair with something called a bookkeeper. And when a Dragion dies, since the soul itself is still intact, but it can't really go to the afterlife and hang out with all the other mortal races or whatever, they get absorbed into this book that then gets shipped off somewhere else, and their soul is taken out of the book and then transplanted into a new vessel, a new mortal vessel. And they do this reincarnation sort of thing over and over and over. But all of their memories stay inside the tome. So they can look back at all the different lifetimes that they've lived. And this bookkeeper that basically, decides, well, I'm gonna ally myself with the Dragion. I'm going to keep track of his or her memories, and that's, I'm going to sacrifice all of this just to make sure that this being stays contained but stays whole. And they can basically follow the Dragion through time. So in a way,
That's really cool.
It sort of functions like a poltergeist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And Meg, this doesn't fit in your world at all.
I guess it does, but I was looking at it and I was like, no, there's no like harnessing going back in time with like my magic system, because it kind of goes against that. But there is kind of the opposite. There is the ability to see storms of what is to come, and it's entirely attached to emotions. Yeah. So it's worth thinking about for sure.
Yeah.
Because I could apply it in like a future tense of imagining taking like Fankalo's capabilities, for example, as she is evolving, because as we get into book 3, she becomes super highly evolved in her capabilities. And I think that something like that could be a really cool thing to get caught up in, like a storm of just the possibilities to come.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
I can see that.
I can't wait. Fankalo is one of my favorites, so.
Oh.
Totally.
And Derek, this can loosely fit in your world if your magic was older again.
Yeah, or it could fit in like a parallel dimension sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is not out of the question because that's part of where I'm going. But yeah, it's a fun concept. I really like that one.
That was definitely good fun.
Totally worth a nat 20.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Every time I use these dice, I feel like I'm cheating. They rarely roll below a 15. Well, that was fun. Cindy, why don't you tell everyone the name of your book again and how they can get their hands on it?
Sure thing. So my debut is called Remnants of a Scarlet Flame. It's the first installment in the last Dragion saga. Available through Kindle Unlimited and Amazon in ebook format and in print from Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, thrift books, really anywhere you can get physical books.
Awesome. All right. Xtina is having technical difficulties and is no longer talking to us, which we knew was just a matter of time. But her website,
time, really. If we're
yeah,
honest.
I know. We're very trying friends. Her website is uniquelyxtina.com, and she can be found on the socials as Uniquely Xtina. She's most active on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. My website is DerekHallAuthor.com, but you can find me as DHallAuthor just about anywhere. And Meg, where can we find you?
I'm on 3bugspublishing.com. My books are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble now. And you can find me on the socials just about everywhere as MJ Lindsay. Cindy?
I'm Cindy Elsell or Cindy Elsell Author across all the major platforms except TikTok. I'm avoiding that one like the plague because I'm a dinosaur. You can also sign up for my newsletter and get a free short story at thelastdragion.com.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, y'all. Well, if you're a world builder, crafting your first universe, or a seasoned creator, and this includes D&D game masters, as we have a few right here on the podcast, writers, authors, or any imaginative soul spinning new realms, we'd be thrilled to have you join our podcast. Drop us your pitch and what you'd like us to talk about through whatifsouthisup.com or send a message via our Facebook group. We would be honored to make your world the star of an episode, or maybe a dozen.
Remember, our list is always open for new what-if scenarios. If you have a unique twist that you want to explore, join us or simply send us your what-if ideas and we'll give you all the credit. Who doesn't want a free plug anyways? Visit our Facebook page and send us an email at whysouthisUp@gmail.com. Thank you, Cindy, for joining us. Congratulations on your release, and we hope it's going super well for you. It definitely looks like it is.
Really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. We got a signal boost, so us little guys have to stick together.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been an absolute blast, so thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time on What If South is Up.